For years, experts have called a carbon tax the most effective way to solve climate change. Now, big oil companies are joining the cause. Why would companies like Exxon and ConocoPhillips spend millions of dollars lobbying Congress to put a price on their own emissions? They've been opposing climate action for years. Oil companies understand that climate change is a reality from which they cannot escape. And they know some type of carbon pricing is inevitable. It's already happening in many nations and even some states. The oil companies see how a carbon tax could work in their favor. A carbon tax would make fossil fuels cost more, and that would steer energy consumers and investors towards choosing cleaner energy. But American drivers tend to keep driving even when the price of oil goes up. So the oil companies can absorb a modest carbon tax. That same modest carbon tax would drive coal out of business, and that would make more room in the electricity market for natural gas, the oil companies' other big product. The oil companies want a few things in return for their support of a carbon tax. First, elimination of government regulations on greenhouse gases. They argue there's no need for the EPA or states to have rules on top of a tax. Second, an end to lawsuits that seek to hold oil companies financially responsible for their role in global warming. Suits by states and cities that could cost the companies many billions of dollars. Finally, the oil industry wants all revenue collected from the tax to go directly back to taxpayers in monthly rebate checks. That could build popular support for a carbon tax, but it rules out the possibility that some of that money could be spent on research or subsidies for clean energy. Economists agree that a modest carbon tax would cut carbon emissions enough for the U.S. to meet its short-term pledge under the Paris Climate Accord. But after that, the benefits could start to wear thin. The science is clear. We need to get to near zero emissions in the next few decades to address the climate crisis. To do that, we might need a higher or faster rising carbon tax, or policies that work hand in hand with the tax to help drive down pollution, especially from cars and trucks.